Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here. Excuse me. And today, I'm working on a journal. Actually, I'm working on 4 of them. And I was making a closure for this journal and I realized I've never shown you some of my methods for closing a journal. You know, a lot of people, this is upside down, sorry. A lot of people make closures that they, tie in or sew into their journals. I like to keep them separate, and there are a number of reasons why. Not everybody handles our journals when we make them. Not everybody handles them with the greatest of care. So I'm always concerned that somebody will pull the handle out or rip it, or something will happen to the tie that it will not be functional anymore. So I always like to make them separate because this way maybe they have something else they can tie with, or they can let you know that their tie went missing along the way. And it's easy to replace one way or another. But a lot of times when it gets ripped out of the journal, or, it could be a dog playing with it, or somebody chewing on it, like a toddler or a pet. But a lot of times what happens is you can't fix that, or you can't fix it without it being quite a major job. So I have a tendency mostly to do my ties separately. And I'm quite creative with my ties. Some of them are sari silk. Some of them are as simple as seam binding, depending on the journal. But I like to crochet them. I like to sew them like little pieces of sort of a snippet roll kind of closures. I like to use leather belts and buckles and all kinds of things. But I've never really talked about closures in all my videos. So I thought today I would bring you along and show you another method that I do. So this is a crocheted tie that I've made to match the journal. And I've used a combination of 4 different kinds of fibers and yarns to create it. And I just crocheted it. Just a single chain crochet. That's about the extent of my crocheting. My mother tried, but I was determined not to learn. So I'm just going to finish this off here. I'm going to get this out of the way for a second. So yeah, all I can do is a chain. I probably could do more, but I would be bored to tears, to be honest. So I've made this chain. I've made it from I always leave a long tail. This is probably about, oh yeah, it's about 8-9 inches. And then I start my crochet, whatever I'm crocheting, but it's going to depend on the size of the journal you're making as well. But this is about 20 inches long. I usually, once I've crocheted, I usually do a little bit of stretching so that it reaches the maximum length. And then I tie it off, leaving another tail at the other end. So, or pulling it through and leaving a tail at the other end. I'm not going to go into crocheting. There are crocheting 101 tutorials on YouTube that you can easily find to learn how to crochet. But if you do crochet, this is a very simple, easy tie to make. And it's I chose colors that were kind of in the journal that I was working on. So it's very complementary to the journal. It could also make a great hairband if you wanted to use it as a hair tie. So yeah, see, it could multifunction. So you can just take this and tie it around just like this, and it's quite pretty that way. I do that, depending on, I always say flavor of the month, right? Depends on what you're doing. This is plenty enough to tie and create a bow and leave it like this. Even, I'm using part of the tails as the bow, not the actual chain, but it's nice enough just like that. But as you saw in the description of this video, I'm showing you how to use a ring closure. So I have some metal rings here. They are 1-inch rings, but you can use any size, any style. I've used key rings, the split ring key rings, because once they're done up, nobody knows that they're key rings. The fun part about this is you can dangle things from it as well once you've got it set up. A place to get them, you can get large rings like that at your local craft store, wherever they have jewelry parts. But I access used belts. So here is a belt of different rings. Now some of these I would keep for doing dream catchers, but there are small connector rings like this one here that I would take off of here and use for a ring closure. You only need 2 of them, so whatever you choose. I work with 2 the same size. And most of these rings are connected with very simple connectors. You can find these belts in the thrift shop. Just keep your eyes out for them. They are out there in the wild, as I always say. And the closures are usually pretty easy to open up and take them off. Now I keep these closures because they are good for hooking onto other things and repurposing for other projects. And I'm just going to take one off just to show you how easy it is to take them off. Just opening it up with my pliers, and there's the ring. So there's all different sizes of rings here. Like I said, key rings, jewelry parts. Maybe you have a necklace that has a variety of different circle dangles. I've bought those as well. Different sizes, you know, it's entirely up to you. But that's what I use to do the ring closure for my jewelry, or for my ties. So it's very, very simple. So this is not going to be a long video. So what I've done is I've wrapped this around the journal, and I'm going to get my 2 ends together so that it's nice and even. And I want my closure to be in the center, or in the front center, so that it's quite decorative. So once you've got your ends together, I slide both rings onto the 2 ties together, so that they are sitting one on top of the other. On the journal. So they're sitting one on top of the other. And then I take the 2 ties, and the one on the right hand side here, I'm going to loop it underneath the top ring, or over the top ring, sorry, over the top ring and under the second ring. So I'm going to just take, you know, however you want to handle it to get it through. I just grab a little bit of the tie. And so it's gone over this ring and under this one. Okay. And then I do the same thing on this side. I take this tie and I go over the top and under the second one. Over and under. And then once you pull it through and you tighten it, you're going to have this one loop sticking up. So all I do is I take my 2 ends and I pull it tight, and then I take my ties and I pull them through the top, or through the back side of this ring, and pull down. And then just lay it flat, and you have a nice closure that is expandable as the book expands. You can further enhance this by adding some, you know, some little gems or dangles or whatever onto the rings itself, or onto the cord itself, or even on the ties if you don't want it to interfere with the rings. But it's a really simple closure, very inexpensive and very quick and very decorative. So this method I can show you again, which I will. The only thing I recommend you do is, when you're selling your journals or gifting your journals, is that you spend some time showing people how to tie it, because the first couple of times it doesn't quite work, right? So it's best to show them a couple of times, or refer them back to this video. So I'm just going to take it apart now, and all I'm doing is pulling the ties, and then the rings are loose. That's the one drawback, is that you have 2 loose rings kicking around. So you may want to have a pin or something that you can clip them on. I don't, but I do talk to my people when I'm selling the journal to how to use these things. So again, I'm just taking the 2 ends of the tie, the two ties, putting the rings through them so that they're one on top of the other. You could also, I haven't tried it, but I think I will. You could probably use real rings, you know, some costume jewelry rings. I'll have to try that. So now I've got the tie. I've pulled it tight, and I've got the tie on this side. I'm gonna go over the top one and under the bottom one, and pull it through, and pull it tight. And then here I'm going over the top one and under the second one and pulling it tight. If you did this with D rings on a belt, it would be the same effect. The only thing is then when you pull it tight, you have this ring sitting up the opposite way. So you take your two ends from the top side or the top of your book, that side, and you put your two ends through. And this will now allow it to lie flat. So that's it for my little tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed this. I've got a couple of threads here pulling out. There we go. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope this is a way that you might consider closing a journal. Because I do different kinds, I think I will start every once in a while, show you some other method of tying, because there are so many fun decorative ways to do this that, you know, it enhances your journal even further. This is a new journal. I actually made 4 of them the same. They're all kind of cookie cutter journals. I will do a flip through of these later on, but for now I'm just showing you the tie. And so that's it for today's video. Just a quick little simple one. That's it. That's all. I wish you all a creative day and a creative week coming up. Talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.